just blow your mind. Talking absolute DC and leaving everything else behind. Sayako, it's the Weird Science DC Comics Absolute DC show. It's the Weird Science DC Comics Absolute DC show. So let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Absolute DC Comics show. I am here, as always, with my man, Gray. What up, Gray?
You're right, Jim. I was dying to scream out, Ikuzo, but I held me tongue.
I almost yelled it too, but I always forget what I'm supposed to yell. It's like Sayako. I'll yell from that. I don't know why it said that, but the idea, here we are. We have the absolute stuff. If you are listening to this as a podcast form or in a replay, we do this live every Friday at 7:15 p.m. or around there, Eastern Standard Time, the only time that matters. Gray agrees, even though he's in Japan. It's already Saturday morning in Japan here. He's a time traveler. He is, but here we are. And we have a book that we like, Absolute Superman. It's not our favorite, but it is in that first rung. It still, to me, is Absolute Wonder Woman, then Batman, then Superman, then Flash, then probably Martian Manhunter. I hate to say it, and then Green Lantern. But in the meantime, there's a lot of people that want to pish-posh this old Superman book. And
really?
While I think that it has some issues and it really has to give us some more Superman, I've been enjoying it. It's one of the ones that it seems it's doing a lot of the world building for what we're going to get towards with an event. I mean, you have the Lazarus deal, Ra's al Ghul. These are big things. And then even throwing in father boxes when we get to that. This is big stuff, though I still want to know more about the Superman. And before we start, before I even give the credits, do you like this? Like, I'm just asking, do you like the Superman? Like, I'm not saying like you like the character I'm saying, would you hang with this guy? Because I wouldn't. He's very,
I don't know.
very gruff.
I don't know him yet, Jim.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he's
like
very,
we know who he is.
Yeah, he's very like nasty at points, but
He doesn't feel like a nice guy, you know. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like Clark Kent.
Yeah, he's not like Gray here, a nice guy from Japan,
Indeed,
Manchester,
jeez.
off to Japan, the guy. Though
Nice
you are
guys finish last,
yeah,
Jim.
exactly. But you also are like a world-conquering AI, so you don't need that. But it's the idea of a Superman where it's weird because people who don't like this book, it seems like they're still stuck on the idea. Like some people who talk to me say, I don't like it because Superman's too woke and he's this and that. I'm like, I don't know. I think he's kind of an asshole. He's kind of is a jerk. Yeah, he's not.
Talking about?
I think that he's more like, in my mind, he's more nasty than but not in the evil way. This isn't Injustice Superman nasty.
No.
This is just like, I just want to be by myself. I don't need anybody else. Hey, even with Soul in this one, poor Soul, I felt bad for him. Soul
He's having to go at Soul, isn't
I
he?
love
His
that.
best buddy.
The best thing is Soul actually is like the AI deal that's like me, where you're going to talk trash. I'm going to shut he just shuts himself down. He's like, whatever, dude, I'm out. But yeah, overall, by the end, I thought, I do like that Wonder Woman. I do like Batman. And I'm talking not even the book, I'm saying the characters. Like Wonder Woman, like, yeah, I like her. I like her as
She's
a little
great.
girl as well. But even Batman, like, he could be a dick to his buddies and whatnot, but I do like him, right? And then you get to Superman, I'm like, he's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, he is kind of a gruff guy, but maybe that's just the play.
He likes to fight, Jim, and hey, come on, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, and when you end up doing it, you do end up where at least he doesn't want to kill people, but it's like, you know, maybe at points it's weird.
No, yeah.
He wants to fight when sometimes you're like, well, maybe you should calm down. But then when he says, hey, we can't kill anybody, I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I think you might want to kill people, but yeah, we'll get into this, though. It is Absolute Superman number 9. It is written by Jason Aaron, art by Rafa Sandoval. Fico Asio as art on pages 5 to 7, 12 to 15 to 22. I didn't even notice that. And Ulysses Areola, very unfortunate last name, on colors, and Becca Carey. On letters, you have Ash Padilla, assistant editor, Chris Conroy, and Andrew Marino as the editors. This is chapter 2 of the Omega Men, the big thing that Superman had been shot, and he has, kryptonite in him. and he is dying. And the last issue, you did have Jimmy and Lois kind of debating, like, who's going to take him? How are we going to get him fixed? And it was the Omega Men are going to be able to do it. The Omega Men will fix him. The Omega Men will fix him. And that's
the
where
Omega
we end
Man
up
is
here.
it? I thought it was the Omega Man. The Omega. Come on with you.
Omegan,
weird American English.
Omegan Men. Yeah, but you with your aluminium
Omega.
and the
Omega.
vitamins. Get out of town. So you end up where they're operating on him. This scene might take a little bit too long. I mean, I get what you're doing. You want to have the real effort of how struggling, that they are trying to get the kryptonite out, because kryptonite also feels like it's like a living metal almost at one point where they're saying, "Oh my God, I can't keep a track of it. It's melding into him. It's getting in his rib cage and whatnot." But I think it's also to show that Superman's pretty badass because they can't use any anesthesia on him, so he feels everything that's going on. At one point, he yells and just brings down the house. Like Robert Plant back in the day, early Robert Plant before he lost his voice. But you end up where all this.
Those monitors, Jim. Those are they monitors or are they old-fashioned TVs? I thought we'd dropped
yeah,
into the
really.
Matrix.
Yeah,
or even
exactly.
Max Headroom.
That you do look at. It's like, oh, they got an Amiga right there. We got a little
well,
Atari
there's the
ST.
Atari
You end up where all this. Oh my
Because
God. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, when he yells, it is funny where they all come tumbling down on him, and I wanted them to say, "Well, those things were pretty outdated as well. We'll be able to update that at some point." But you end up where they're getting the kryptonite out of him, and at one point they can't really tell what's happening with it, and he's like, "Just give me the forceps. I'm gonna rip it out of myself." And it's crazy. He just
As you
reaches
said, Jim, it's a
in.
cool idea where they say "Oh my God, the bullet's unstable. It's not holding its form." So that's pretty cool, isn't it? Imagine what could it do? What's it gonna do?
Yeah, and I did see that Joseph Wolf in the comments did say that he sees that most people don't like that Clark is trying to find hope, not having it instill in him. But again, he came here later in life, and so I get it. And I think he's right. I think that is some people. But again, if you're going to have an Elseworlds type thing and things are changed, you have to have some changes. So when you go, but just like I said, I had somebody this week say they're not reading it because it's woke. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Like, why do you just keep saying that word?
It's a dark book in a way, isn't it? Like Joseph said, there's not a lot of hope in it. It's a dark universe, a dark world. But yeah, it just feels like it's a different Superman to what we used to. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. And again, everybody likes what they like and whatnot. But when you end up having this book and people are like, I don't like it because I don't get this Superman. I don't know what's going on. They're not going quick enough, whatever. But then those same people in the next sentence are like, but I love that Martian Manhunter because I don't know what's going on. They're not spelling it out. I'm like, I think we're getting a little more from this, but it
no
obviously
isn't that
about,
but it's the best book ever.
Yeah. So in this though, because it's Superman, you want to know and you should know a little more, but it is kind of like it is kind of running in place a bit, and it's more about the interesting things again in this are Raish, Lois, Jimmy, and Superman's just there getting this, the kryptonite stuff ripped out of him, and then they end up
we
finally
get a new character, don't we, Jim?
Yeah, this Primus, and
Primus.
I ended up where I don't mind
like a metal band.
I don't mind the band Primus.
I used to see the adverts in the old comic books back in the day.
Well, you have Primus did the South Park deal. You have that Winona's Big Brown Beaver, whatever what song is that? I don't mind Primus.
That's one of your songs,
yeah,
isn't
exactly. It was. But yeah, you end up where this Primus says, okay, well, keep them going. Omega will provide. Bring the machine. Bring over the machine. And you have Cal's like, what's that? What's that?
Not the machine.
And then you get what is called here a father box. I said to you before we recorded, I hate that that's when they do that little, we're going to change things up by calling this a father box. I said, then you have a cousin box. You were even saying third cousin removed twice box. You have all these things. And Fearmonic says Primus sucks. Primus, not a big fan, but it's one of those, if you are a bass player, sometimes you'll be like, yeah, Primus is okay because of the bass, but I think it's Les Claypool as the bassist in Primus.
To be fair, I never listened to them because I didn't like the look of the CD covers, the album covers.
Yeah, you just pass. But they're not you sat there, you were dancing around the Culture Club and stuff, so you wouldn't have liked Primus. They're a little too hard edge for you, but they're goofy. They were goofy. But this father box ends up pinging all around. So again, we're in a world infused with dark side energy. Dark side's gone. We have this play, and so having some apocalyptic technology. And then what Superman describes, what he says is what he sees are fire pits that are coming.
Where does this
Obviously,
come from, Jim, by the way? Is it ever explained, the father box?
no, I just think that the Omega Men have it and they got it from
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Now,
Maybe
in
we'll
the
get some of it
meantime,
later.
I think that obviously what Superman's alluding to at the one point is that this world is being primed in a funny way to be kind of a new
Not
apocalypse. Not Primus. No, you don't need that. But yeah, the whole play where he says, I saw fire, and then said they were fire pits. I mean, that's a big thing. So when we get to what's coming up maybe in October, I think that that will be kind of something that plays into it. But then in the meantime, I kept wondering, like, who is this? Like, this is the game you play when you have these kind of things where you're like, okay, is Primus like Huntress? Then you're starting like, no, that's a Batman thing. So would Primus be this? Is it Lena Luthor? Is it Mercy Graves? I'm like, nope, it's just Primus. We don't know who it is, and so we'll find out later. And maybe
We had a
there's
quick chat,
people
didn't we?
with
And
the
it's
deal.
original character created by Jason Aaron and Rafa
Yeah,
Sandoval.
yeah. So it's just the thing, and she ends up where Jimmy tries to explain to Superman later is she's really big on this Omega and almost like the spiritual godlike quality of these things. You have a father box, new god technology, so you kind of get that play.
Getting cult vibes from this, Jim. Watch
Yeah,
out.
yeah, we're gonna have
Don't
to
drink
see.
the
So,
Kool-Aid,
oh my
whatever you
goodness,
do.
but yeah, she ends up, and Jimmy kind of like, yeah, it's kind of weird, but I'm down with it, whatnot. But yeah, she's really into like Omega. Like she even says what she says: just keep your eyes on me when they're bringing in this father box, and says Omega will provide. She's very big on that stuff. Like next, like you said, Jim Jones is going to come over the loudspeaker, start telling everybody to take the Kool-Aid. We're going to have some problems, or maybe get into jumpsuits like Hellbob. But yeah, they end up doing that stuff.
Sorry, I
And
shouldn't laugh.
no,
That was a bad
I'm
laugh,
telling
sorry.
you, in
Bad
that
timing.
I end up where I told you before that I'm listening to like Best of Art Bell. If
Oh,
you
God,
know who
yeah.
Art Bell is,
Fantastic.
it's
Love
great.
him.
But at this point, he's really into for about a year before Hellbob. He was really big in that. I can't listen to it because of what ended up happening and all that stuff, because they do blame him a lot for pushing a lot of that stuff, and there's like
Oh my
it's
God.
nonsense.
It's not
But
his fault, but yeah,
no,
it's
but
unfortunate.
then
Jim in the comments again, Joseph saying that he's asking, she's definitely Talia, right?
yeah,
Possibly?
that's you say that, and
That's
that's
the
what I
idea.
thought with it, and that's why I thought,
Yeah.
and I'm glad he said that, because that's what I came to the ending of. It has to be Talia because of the idea of Raish and kind of going against him. I wonder why they're not like they're playing. It's a new character, Primus, but it does look like Talia, so we'll have to play that. I don't like the look of Raish at all. But in the meantime, he comes in to talk to Lois. Lois is in the processing center. She's kind of arrested, but she's not dead. She's smart, so she knows. And you end up where Raish comes in and says, do you know who I am, why I'm here? And she's like, oh, yeah, you're Ra's al Ghul, reclusive founder and CEO of Lazarus Corp. And because you're here, you never show your face, so you think I'm good. She really wants to show him, like, whatever you think you're trying to do, I can see right through it, and I know what you're doing. To get to the end where if you push that button too much, he does basically say, yeah, all that you said, I'm just going to kill your dad if you don't help me. I'm like, yeah, you kind of
Jesus.
pushed him to that, Lois, because she goes down the line like, I'm not dead. You're looking that I betrayed, but you don't care. I'm now on assignment again. You can make me disappear, but you did all that stuff. And then even with you're going to hold my father's legs over me, all these things going on. And she's like, I think she's real impressed with herself at this one point. And he says, oh, yeah, that's pretty crazy, whatever. But Brainiac didn't exaggerate. You're pretty smart. But by the way, if I ever end up having a problem, I'm not going to flip a switch to get rid of your dad's legs. He says, I'm going to summon your father and put the pathetic cripple out of his misery. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty badass. And then she attacks him, and he kind
She
of plays
does.
it off.
She's fast.
Yeah, and
You would have thought, Jim, she'd not been searched. Like,
No,
before
I
she was
know.
put in
She
this
has a shiv.
cell.
Like, it almost feels like she's out in the
What is she
yard
making
fashioning
from?
a shiv. That's what I'm asking. I
Flip
think
it,
she
eh?
just had it. Now, could it be a play where, and this isn't in the book or anything, I don't think it is even thought of, but could it be a play where they're like, listen, when you search Lois, when you search Miss Lane here, let her keep whatever weapon she has, because she can't do shit against me. And I want her to know that, so that she actually thinks she can attack him. And that when she does, he's like, yeah, you kill me. Go ahead. Slit my throat. I will
I'm
be
still
here
not sure
tomorrow.
about this version of Lois, Jim, as well. Like, I don't know. She's
She's
very angry,
badass.
she's got
She's
a lot of
very
rage.
angry.
Badass,
But
yeah.
again, I think that as Joseph said, I think the big play here is a world. Like, this is where I get this a little more. Maybe it's just me making it up in my head. But when you have the Martian Manhunter book, it always goes back to that. And people are like, well, look, there's all these bad, these big bombings, and you're doing this and you're doing that and the other thing. It's really cool. But then I say to everybody, but is that because of the White Martian, or is that because this is a Earth that's made from the residual energy and the bad energy of dark side?
Yeah.
So when you get to this book, and when you do say, like, hey, Superman's not instilled with that hope, you kind of get the play of this whole world isn't. And then Superman, they need Superman to instill it, but he doesn't have it. So it's that kind of, chasing its own tail deal. But then again, here's Lois, who never had Clark, Superman, any of that, where again, a little older, and so she's very angry and mad and feels a little off, but it's in that way of, I think that's just this world. And you could start to get the play of, well, that's the big thing. Like, the big thing overall is I want them to find hope. I want them to be able to be nice and have a nice life. But this life, like her and Lazarus and this, like, you don't ever, I think it's very on purpose by Jason Aaron. We haven't seen Jimmy Netflix and chill with anybody. You know what I mean? We haven't seen Lois eating, some hamburgers and having a great time, or somebody there
Quite
at the
refreshing, isn't it? There's been no scenes in cafeterias.
Well, that's
or
good, but the idea, like,
unusual.
there's no downtime. It seems like you're always at war in this world. Like Lazarus, and even in this, where basically she's owned by Lazarus. She even says, you're going to make me do this and that. Like, there's no downtime. That's what I think led to Christopher Smith, Peacemaker, for going crazy, because he ended up saying, I need downtime. I need to relax. I need to. And that was when Brainiac's like, no, go back out in the field, which then caused him to think he was being made fun, and it all just cracked. And that's a big play of it. But I do think this whole thing is the play of this dark world, and it's actually playing out within the book with these characters that we know and mostly know and love. I know some people who don't like Lois.
I've missed something. I've missed something like, so at the end of the conversation with Race and Lois, he says, and bring me my son.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. And
what's
so
that about? Have I missed something?
I just think that it's supposed to be up in the air, and we're like, well, what does that mean? What does he mean by that? And,
Okay, so it's
I think it's an
up.
ambiguous thing to say. I mean, you would expect he's saying Superman, but
if you know in the chat,
how does he
let us
mean
know,
that?
but
Yeah, and how does he mean that? What does he mean by it? He might just end up where we'll find out. There's a prophecy that this or that, but I think it's just like the play. And even when he says that, she doesn't like, what? Like, I was waiting for her to say, what the hell? But says, remember your love for him as you fulfill your duty, your father, and bring me my son.
That's right. It's all about the father. And right at the end, he drops in and bring me my son. Okay.
Yeah. And again, Joseph said that he thinks it's like an heir thing. In my mind, I think that he might want to get him and kind of turn him into something like that, with the Lazarus, with whatever, and kind of make him into it. So, but when he says it to Lois doesn't end up going like, "What'd you say?" Like something like that. But so it's obvious that this is something that people know he wants to do. Whatever it's going on, she didn't seem to like bat an eye on it. So we'll have to see. But then we go weeks later. And Pakistan, and you do have some jumps in this. You do end up like, oh, this happened before, and then I thought I never like that. But you do end up where they're going and fighting things, and you still have, like, Superman is still pissed off at Peacemaker, Christopher Smith. He still keeps, like, he doesn't want to be around him at one point, he said, because he might kill him, all that. But then you see this Primus, who, again, now that even Joseph said, definitely in my mind, plays full out as Talia, because she is just like, we're going to kill people. And again,
and she's using a sword as well.
Oh, yeah,
that's
pretty
good.
cool.
That's a good point in it, Joseph. Yeah.
And so when you have that, and that's a really, really cool play with the idea that if it is Talia, to go against her dad in that way, because it feels like Talia. Talia does
death to the
do
techno-fascists everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she is so over the top. Yeah, but I like her.
She's awesome.
I think that the play
like
here
her
is
too.
when they're doing this and they're going against Lazarus, and you're playing the idea that Lazarus is huge, right? Omega Men, we don't know fully, but it doesn't seem like they have a lot. You almost have to play that game of, okay, for each one of us has to take down 300 of them for us to even get close to doing anything. And Superman just keeps there. It's like, I won't allow killing. I'm like, I don't know. People get mad at me. People got mad when I said that Lex should kill kill that clone of his in Superman. But I'm like, what else are you gonna do? I'm with Primus here. I'm like, do it. You gotta take these guys down, and they're willing to just kill willy nilly. I think maybe Superman, you gotta look the other way one of these times. Like maybe you don't kill, but I don't know. These are Mega Men.
He's giving Primus a big threat, isn't he? He's like, if you insist on using deadly force, you wish you'd left me to die. It's like,
Yeah.
bloody hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Cal,
And I'm like,
calm down.
jeez, it's
They saved your life, man. What are you doing?
yeah. But when she yells death to techno-fascists, I'm like, and again,
That's so
I
cool.
saw some people who actually, there was a thing on Twitter that I saw that somebody, obviously not reading the issue, just put that panel and ended up saying, I hate when they do it. I'm like, no. This is
Oh,
a
come
different
on,
world
man.
with
So
a
annoying.
brainiac who's running a Lazarus Corporation with Ra's al Ghul and these peacemakers. Like, this isn't really the idea of, oh, I see what you're doing, and it's like ripped from the headlines. It's not. It's just they are what she's saying, and she's going for it. And I'm like, that's pretty good. And then Superman comes and stops her. I'm like, oh, you bastard. I was like, I wanted to see her.
Well, Jim, like the
rip
panel
through.
before that Talia one, she says, she's like saying to the peacemakers, you slaughter innocents and you call us terrorists. You know?
Yeah.
So they should have put that panel up as well, but no, they had to just clip the death
Yeah,
to techno.
yeah. And so when you do that, like, she's right. Like, it's whoever is in charge is going to claim they're on the up and up, but
Ooh.
they've been killing everybody. They continue to, but then I like that at this point where you have Superman, and I would ask even Joseph, because we were talking about that idea of like no hope and whatnot. But when he does say, listen, if you kill anybody, you're going to wish that I died. You didn't, save my life. But then he says, I will do this alone. And when he does it, that gives you a little glimmer. It's not hope, but he's actually like, I'm going to do this really quick so they don't get a chance to kill him. And I love that he just like, so half of these guys have to be dead. Am I wrong? They're falling off of what looks like 800 feet of a thing as he's whipping around. Like, is it that he's going to blame gravity? Is that what he's going to be like Arnold in Twins? Gravity was
Look
his
at-
enemy.
Jesus, they are.
Yeah,
falling,
look at
aren't
these
Look
guys.
at
They
it
all
now.
have to be dead.
Does
But
he,
I
like,
think
does
that
he
he's,
run down and catch
I
them
think
one by
that's
one
what
as
he's
they
doing.
fall?
But I'm telling you, I'm like, Jesus, gravity.
It's
He's
a great
going.
scene, isn't it, Jim? It's like from like a video game scene
Oh,
or
yeah.
a clip from like an animated scene. It worked really well. when you
And
saw
I
this.
like the play too because, again, and we're getting some Superman stuff finally in this. Not as much as I want, but you get the
No.
Superman deal of. At this point, he almost feels like, okay, I'm kind of with the Omega Men. I'm gonna go. We're gonna stop these guys or whatnot. But once he sees, oh, they're gonna kill him, you almost feel like he's like, well, I'm gonna like he could have done this all along. What he's doing now, like really just zip through and get rid of everybody, knock them all out and done. But he hasn't done that. Why hasn't he? Or is it just that he needed that inspiration that he's really
What's funny
saving
here as
them.
well.
Yeah.
Jim, like it's like that line he goes, I'm used to working alone, and then the next page we've got Sol saying, I find those remarks
Yeah,
offensive.
that was great.
Kal-El." He's pissed off Sol.
Yeah, and I'll tell you now, when in this
Oh, it's
issue
funny.
here, when you do have Saul, where it is funny, he's like, I work alone. Saul's like, well, actually, and when he gets, it actually to me has a Batman and Alfred kind of play in it. I'm like, I think I like this. Because Saul was okay. Like, he just would pop up and he's like, you're doing too much. You got to do this. But in this one, he has more of a personality. And then when Superman at the one point says, you shut up. I'm sick of you talking to me in my ear. He's like, all right, I'm shutting down. Screw you. And then shuts
Yeah.
down. I was like, that's
Goes off in a huff.
Yeah.
Like me and you when we get a crappy comment on a YouTube video.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And I see that.
It's funny
And
though. It is. I like Sol's code. As I said,
Oh,
Jimmy's
yeah.
personality, his character.
I
is
like
being
his
developed.
sassiness in this.
His sassiness.
It
He's
has
getting more
been there, but
sassy.
he is getting more sassy. He's learning. That's what happens. But thanks, Edward, for the super chat. He ended up saying, hey, guys, haven't read this issue behind on comics this week, but always glad for a live cast. And thanks. Well, thank you. And then said that he did see one of those lame comic sites has a story this week with the headline, this issue is Superman's villain origin story. Really? Well, is he a villain because he stops them from killing
My
and then ends up
goodness.
doing this? I mean, he actually in this, like I said, at one point said, he wanted to kill Christopher Smith. He said, and then realized I can't be near this guy because I may kill him and tried to, but I like that. It's,
Yeah,
it's
he
a
took
little
himself
more,
out of that
Yeah.
situation on purpose, didn't he? Because that's
and
Superman,
that's
he's
character
not
work.
gonna-
You know what
He's
I mean?
young
That's-
here.
it's a
People keep
different
forgetting.
deal.
Is he still like, what is he, a late teen or is he like early 20 or something?
Yeah.
It's hard to
yeah.
say, isn't it?
But
he's young.
he didn't have a lot of Ma and Pa Kent. He doesn't have that humanity, and so
No, he didn't have the
he's learning it as he
Smallville,
goes.
upbringing, did he?
No,
That's right.
and it's a darker
Not
time.
really.
He had a little bit of time with him, but not much. And then Joseph said when Saul went off, it did make the rest of the issue dark, and it was kind of. I think that's kind of the play as well, but was kind of cool with that. So when he ends up at one point, like all this is going on, and then you have these Peacemaker mechas that are playing tug of war. It's like they're drawing and
They
quartering
are.
them. And then I thought, like, that came out of nowhere in my mind. I was like, okay, you're doing this. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? Like, because they're stopping all this, tanks and things. And these mecha kind of grab them. They're like, it almost feels like they are like, I want him. I want him. I want him.
Look at the size of that mecha fist
I know.
that grabs him.
Yeah,
It's huge,
it's crazy.
isn't it?
It's humongous. And again, he's going all like solar. At that point, Saul ends up solar flaring because he says, we're in big trouble. We got a solar flare. I'll also say with this book, too, with the cape, the dust cape, and some of the abilities, the flare, all that, I don't really know what we really didn't get a lot of information about what all of
No,
it
we
means. It
haven't
ends up
so
really,
far.
in my mind, it's like it activates his power. It also activates that, hey, the colorist has to do more work now because it ends up being very colorful when it happens. It's all flames and stuff like that. But I don't quite get it. And like if Superman was, regular book and we're going and he comes into some problem, you will say, oh, he's going to use his freeze breath, his frost breath. He's got in this. I'm like, well, I don't really know exactly what he does. He has the same kind of things, but there's a little bit of a difference that kind of just gets thrown in there and feels a lot video game-esque in my mind, where it just ends up, yelling out of power and it ends up going with it. But we then at that point, this is where it threw me off. Where now we go earlier. I'm like, why? I don't.
This is where I
don't-
got a bit lost.
Yeah, I don't like
with this
doing that. I really
moving
don't.
around.
Now, it does set up Jimmy's stuff. And overall, I think reading it the second time through and now going through it a third time, it makes a little more sense. But at first,
It
it
does,
always
yeah.
throws me because
But Jim, just before this switch, did you mention this? It's really weird, where they're trying to like rip Superman in half, and you've got Saul like talking to him saying, "Cal, whatever you do, please do not allow the Omega Men to
Yeah.
use that, infernal
Yeah, that
device
infernal
on you
device again.
It's
I
really
think-
warning him about it. So
Yeah.
does Saul know more about?
I think
what
that it was
is,
really
you think?
messing with him as well.
Okay,
Like, you can't do
gotcha.
that because it is
It
it's a
made him
father
sassy.
box, but it is a mother box, and and he's with all that stuff, and he says, "Yeah, please," and he says, "Listen, man, no matter what happens, you can allow the Omega Men to use that infernal device on you again.
That's a serious
Do you
warning.
hear
Don't
me?
go near that box.
You must never go near that box."
Never.
Yeah. So he's
Wow.
like, "Okay, what's
Strong
in the
words.
box?" They're yelling. So you go to this earlier. And you see where Lazarus is on this drilling platform or not Lazarus, the Mega Men are there on an old drilling platform that was Lazarus. Jimmy's
Yeah.
swabbing the deck. And I do like again, it's you haven't had a play in this book yet of just Superman hanging out with his pal Jimmy Olsen. Now, they're not exactly pals yet or whatever, but I do like them talking. And I do like seeing in the book that Cal has a little, again, almost a little downtime where he's there and he's just talking. He's healing. But you get some info and it's like, hey, and it leads from Saul at that point, don't ever use the box. And when you go here, Superman's like, what do you know about that box? Like that box they used on me. And he's like, ooh, yeah, it fell from space. Somebody else said it was dug up here on Earth, and there's a lot. It's kind of a play of. There's been a lot of different plays of how the mother boxes and things end up on Earth, so it kind of does play out like that. And he says, all Primus says
it comes from
yeah.
God.
So I'm
Jim.
saying
Which
she's like
God,
really
though?
into
That's
it.
the question.
Yeah, exactly. Seems that'd be funny. Superman's like, which one? But it's like, though her version sounds pretty different from any God I ever heard of. And again, that does feel like I could go with Talia with all that. So I'm glad that Joseph brought that up because that was the only thing that I could think of that made sense, and I think it is. And like, it's called a father box. And he's like, yeah. Then told me its name, and they're like, really? Like you ended up like Tucky, yeah. When it removed the bullets, and that's where he said it spoke to me, not with words, but I saw fire, a world erupting with flame, and like there's pits and. It's just, again, like it felt like, it was telling me and it was calling out and all that stuff. So it does seem like, obviously
and then Jimmy
it's
goes,
always tied.
another planet? You mean, hold
Yeah.
on, are you an alien?
Yeah,
Like,
like-
where does this come from? It's like,
And
you've
even
not
then,
figured it out yet.
I wanted them to be like, really? Like, you thought I was just from here, all the stuff I'm doing, but whatever. And he's like, yeah. And he's
Whatever.
like, hey, am I asking too many questions? Superman? He's like, I don't like that name. Well, it's so funny. He's like, I don't like that name. Everybody calls me that. Why? It's not my name. Jimmy tries to get his name, and then Saul says, don't tell him. But in the meantime,
Protect your secrets, Cal.
Jimmy's like, hey, oh, dude, sorry. It's like with the S, we just assumed. Like, some people are saying you were shithead. Others were playing you were sucker, but I went Superman with the
Sado.
ass.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Sus.
Just because it says ass, he's like, yeah, I don't
Could
know
be
that you get
anything,
that
couldn't it?
Superman. And we thought your name was Steve. But yeah, he's like, the
Simon.
exactly drunk Simon. He ends up, the box showed the fire pits, the size of it. And yeah, that's, definitely the idea. And he said, but this was no vision of the past or some faraway planet. It was the world that's coming. This world, again, it
This
really plays
world,
out
Jim.
that this world is being set up
Uh-oh.
to be a new apocalypse. It's ending up like that's what it seems, and they're going to have
Dark
to stop
side
it.
is coming.
And that would be the play. Once they get the Darkseid comes back, he has a new apocalypse in
Yeah.
this deal, and you have that going forward. So I thought that was pretty cool. Fear Monarch did said, I thought your name was Super Shit. It's like, that's 2 S's, jerk. But yeah,
It was
he ends up.
Sandy.
Exactly. So he ends up where he says, Primus says their boss, Lazarus thing. He's a certified maniac. Again, that's a play of she may know a little more than what most people would if it's Talia, but says the kind of guy who would just, create a disease. It actually plays off full out Lex, but also Ra's al Ghul as well. It seems like that normal. But it reminded me of Lex at the one point where when they were telling Lex that there was a big story where he ended up to show that he would be able to cure cancer. He ended up creating all these things, curing it, and then destroying the cure. It was like crazy shit that Lex did to prove that he was smart. But ends up saying, Superman says, do you trust her? For the meantime, she's right there. Like, she has to hear this. You don't need superhero to hear 5 feet away.
She's got her back to, I'm pretending not to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's totally
like this-
listening.
yeah, she's listening. She's pretending she's on the phone. She's listening. And he's like, maybe she goes too far sometimes. Like, I've killed just as many of the enemy as they've killed of me, and I hope to keep it that way. But yeah, things are getting really bad. And he starts to
Jimmy's
explain.
killed, Jim.
Yeah,
Is he
really.
a killer?
I
No
always
way.
say he kills it. But yet he ends up explaining to Superman, like really quick, that he ended up wanting to make a difference. And he thought, well, if I'm going to have kids, I want a world that, they could, when they show up and they get older and say, hey, Dad, what were you doing at this point? Were you fighting or were you letting this happen? And he said, I wanted to end up fighting. But after I went out a couple times with Mega Man, I got a vasectomy. I don't want kids anymore. Like, they don't deserve to
That
be on
was
this
a
planet.
really weird
Yeah, it was
line.
very
Like,
dark.
what the heck?
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not having kids. This
Jeez.
planet sucks. It's funny,
I'm
like,
going to be mopping the floor.
it'd be the best.
That's what I'm doing.
All of a sudden, Cal ends up where everything's fine. And Jimmy's like, damn it, that vasectomy. I should have had it. Like, it's a better world now.
I was drunk. It was like I should have got a tattoo instead.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. So then they get the word Pakistan. That's where we were before. So we see that they're going to leave. And that idea where, Superman wants to go. Hey, I owe a debt for you. I want to join the Omega Men, at least for this deal. And then she says, yeah, you're on the wrong planet. Where was it you said you were from again? And this is the thing. Everybody's prying to get info and trying to do that play of like, where'd you say you were from again? And it's, I didn't. Hey, bitch, I'm not telling you. But yeah, it says that and like, right. Well, let's get moving. The God Box saved you for a reason. The Omega Man has plans for you, Superman. And Superman's like looking like, you crazy bitch. But they end up
I
going,
won't allow killing. You know,
Exactly,
he says
yeah.
that yet again.
yeah,
doesn't he?
and that's at the beginning, and then says it again. And like you said, that big play of I'm not going to allow anybody to kill, and leading the Omega Men. I mean, they are pretty powerful when he's there standing in front there and ends up saying, and goes with things with Saul and how that father box, he says, the father box, Kal-El, that device is extremely dangerous. You continue what Saul's saying. It says, I'm a vestige of the Kryptonian luminarium imbued with limited sentience by Laura L. I am not capable of such emotions, because he end up, Superman goes, what are you, scaredy cat? What are you, afraid of that box there? And he's like, I don't really get afraid. That doesn't compute. But
He's
this
having
thing,
a dig. He's having a dig at Saul. No wonder
Yeah.
Saul gets upset.
yeah,
later
and
on.
then Saul ends up saying, like, but this thing's bad, and it might do some bad things. So I don't get near it. Don't let them do anything with that anymore.
Who knows what it's
but
going to do, Jim? It could corrupt, Kal-El, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It could turn him into a villain. We don't know yet. We have
Yeah.
no idea where this is going to go.
so then you end up where you have it, like he reacts so crazy because he says it is you who should be frightened, Kal-El, of what this clearly corrupted world might do to you. And that's the whole play. That's what we've been talking with Joseph about, and how it not even just corrupt him, but it never was there to allow him to be that hopeful guy. He's just angry and it's just a normal thing. So it's just like, dude, you're real miserable. I don't like you like this. And then you end up, he's like, of the sort of a man it may be turning you into. and then
Again,
Superman
Jim,
proves
this is the Alfred
Yeah,
line,
it is.
the angle
It
you were
is.
talking about, isn't it? It's such an Alfred line, that.
Yeah,
He's
and
worried about
it
Bruce,
reminds
you
you
know.
of times when Batman asks like Alfred if he's a good dad or if he's a good guy or whatnot. But you do have Alfred always like, I don't know about you going out and dressed up as a bat, you
Yeah.
crazy ass. But
Sir,
isn't
you're
that-
doing the voice all the time.
Exactly,
We
yeah.
stop that.
And so when you have it though, it's so funny. It's basically like, listen, kind of worried about you, Superman. You're kind of over the top. You're always angry. You're a miserable prick. Like, you know, I'm in your head and all this stuff, but it's getting real crowded in here with your angry thoughts. And then what he does is prove it. He's like, shut the hell up. I want to sound like,
So,
this is what
you
I'm
saved
talking
my
about.
life.
Yeah.
All I've got left of Krypton. I'm tired of people telling me, you know, I don't know myself, so do me a favor and shut it.
Yeah. He says,
Jesus.
shut the hell up.
He has a big strawberry soul.
And I love where Saul, Saul knows what he means. Like Saul plays the computer of like almost like Small Wonder back in the day of like the idea of taking everything so literally. Shut the hell up. No, he's like, oh, you want me to shut the hell up? Okay. Sign orders, sucker. I'll see you when you need me. But he says, as you wish, Kal-El. Disabling voice mode. So at least we know he's still watching him. But the idea
he's
where
still there, hopefully.
you just proved to Saul. Saul's like, geez, you are a prick. Like, of all the Kryptonians I could get stuck with you. First off, your mom makes me. I know that she was all upset about your dad always bitching about these earthquakes and shit. Now you're yelling at me. But he ends up where he's like, okay, and they go with, okay, we need to know where these hostages are. That's why they went there. You ended up having the peacemakers going because there was. And if you're going to get any sort of political deal, but again, it's in a world where this sort of thing's happening, where they are protesting people being killed. You do have one sign, maybe you go a little like defund the peacemakers, whatever, but it is what it is.
Jim,
But-
just before that, does he like kill all these peacemakers? Look at the explosion.
Yeah,
He's like, you know, when
that's-
he's getting angry, when he's screaming
again,
at Saul.
they look like
they're all dead.
they
Look at
look
them.
like they're
all...
melding, right? I'm
I thought
telling
he was
you.
about no killing.
Yeah,
you forgot
I'm
about
telling
that,
you.
didn't he? When he had his straw.
The last
Dead
time I
Saul.
saw bullshit like this was over at Marvel, where the Ultimates book by Dennis Camp, again, that guy, where he has America Chavez melt a whole army of police and then later say, oh, we got him out of that melting metal armor. I'm like, I don't know that they want to be alive now, but oh, nobody was
I
harmed.
don't think you can get people out of
No,
melting
I
metal
mean,
armor
no. And
in
so
one piece.
with that, they like, it looks like they're dead. It looks like he killed a lot of
Looks
people.
like they're dead, yeah.
Or did
Anyway,
the flame kill them? You know, legitimately, the heat killed them.
It wasn't me. It was
yeah,
the
it's like
heat
it was the heat.
from the explosion.
Yeah, so when you have that, and he's still, I mean, it looked like what happened is he got so mad, he solar flared
Yeah.
up and didn't even realize what was going on. But now they look dead, and they're like, oh, well, now I wish that, and Primus Talia comes up and goes, oh, I'm glad that we're not killing people. Jesus Christ. And it's like, holy moly. So they end up where they say we
You're
have to
a man of your
find.
word, Cal.
Yeah,
Good to know.
Yeah, we have to find the prisoners, the hostages, and he goes, "Oh, I know where they are." And you break, and they're all hung. You end up, and I'm not
That's
meaning
why he's
that.
angry, isn't
yeah.
it? I guess he'd seen it.
I don't
already.
mean that they're big in the pants. I mean that they're hanging there by a rope,
Mama.
and so they're done. But then while that's going on, that right there is a good cliffhanger. I thought it was.
I thought that was the end.
Yeah, I thought that was the end. And even then, when they see it, like they're all like, "Oh crap!" And then you go where there's still some peacemakers, and now people are pissed. Now they're ripping through them. But the big play is Cal saying, and again, this is this the idea of the villain story? If he ends up because he's like, okay, Krypton's dead, destroyed by its own hubris and gluttony. Long live Krypton. I'm going to go. If you're thinking that because Superman's inspired to go after the peacemakers and things like that, yeah, I don't think that's a villain story. They're the villains. But he ends up where they say at the end, okay, we did all this. Whatnot, are you okay? Don't be a pussy. Be a man of steel. There's a lot of things by the end that Talia's trying to, and he's just like, stop talking, please. I don't want to
Jim,
do
can I
this.
ask you at this point? This is one where I got totally lost. You know, this scene where you see after he's taken out all the guards, and then we see Talia. If it's Talia going crazy, Primus, then there's someone in a yellow cloak who's like pointing a gun at somebody. I'm not sure who it is. You know, saying, Primus, Superman, do something. Then Primus shoots her a gun. I think it switches to her. Who Who was like, who's
And
being
that's
shot?
the thing. And the thing is, I think
I
when
got lost here.
I think that the play here is the weird play because then Superman does have a bullet in his hand that I
Does
think
he
he
catch the
stopped.
bullet? But I don't even know who they were going to shoot.
Yeah, it
You know,
seemed like
who-
it might have just been a peacemaker side. It's
just
weird,
okay,
right?
just random peacemaker.
Yeah, it's just
I
weird.
got
Now,
lost.
you do get the play of Primus then, too. They're like, hey, we have some wounded. And she's like, listen, if they can't walk, they're here. We're leaving, and only the people are willing.
They're in puddles and pools of like molten flesh.
Yeah, exactly. So
They're not
like,
walking.
We're getting out of here. There's no blade-legged guys here. We're out. But then they're like, oh my God, there's somebody in the fracas. We left a man behind. They're like, oh, who? You know right away who it is. But I like Agent Alpha.
Well,
it's
we saw
Jimmy.
he was mopping the deck.
Yeah, he's
of
just
the oil rig.
swabbing the
What
deck.
happened to him?
And that
When
was
did
the
he get
thing.
taken?
He just got taken when they went to Pakistan. They did say, okay, Jimmy, and like, maybe this is the time you'll actually do something to end up being more than just an alpha. But no, he is captured. And then we see that he is being interrogated by Lois, who knows who he is because they were fighting last issue of who to save Superman and things like that. So she's playing it up at least here, but she's got to, or else her dad and whatnot. So that's a pretty
Jimmy,
cool
such
ending.
a liability.
I
Can't
know.
take you anywhere.
I know. Look at this guy. He could take pictures, so
He
that's about
captured
it.
again.
He's in trouble. But
dear.
by the end, yeah, Lois coming in. And Jimmy's like, I know there's something called like a convention that they had in Geneva that I don't think you're allowed to do this. I'm like, I don't know if they care about that, Jimmy. I think you're in big trouble. And then you see it's
Not in
it's
this world,
Lois.
yeah.
So you see it's Lois, and you're like, okay, well, that's a cool play because Lois they're watching her. Ra's went and visited her personally and said, you better find the Superman and all that. She knows that she's going to be able to find it through Jimmy, obviously. But again, she has their ulterior motives and things like that. So
Wait a
we're gonna
minute,
have
is
to see what
Jimmy
plays.
Rachel's son?
That'd be
Go
funny.
find my son.
She's like, here, and he's like, man,
be crazy.
there you go. He's like, I knew I had a redheaded son. This is bullcrap. He's all
Disowned
upset.
by ginger-haired
Oh
son
my
in the
goodness.
past.
He's like, not that son. I meant the other one. But it was good. I liked it. I still find it a
enjoyed
bit
it.
confusing at points, but some of the confusion is kind of cool. It got a little wonky. That battle at the end got really hairy,
It did.
right? And you're like, okay, and
the
even
time
like you
jumps
said,
mentioned.
and then
Weeks later or weeks earlier, and then it's like a little bit. It's like what?
and
When,
then we
you know?
didn't know what was going on when that one shot,
Yeah.
so it did play out a
But
little
it's
bit
still
on.
really good.
Yeah, I liked it. I still like it. It's not any. I'm telling you, when I say Wonder Woman first, Batman second, Superman third, there's a gap between Batman and Superman. That's a fairly large size gap. Like I really, really like Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman. I like this. I'm intrigued by Flash. The rest, I'm like, yeah, give or take. Martian Manhunter. People like it, so that's cool. But not many people liking that Green Lantern book. But maybe there's been times like things like this that suddenly, like that becomes the best book down the line. But I just don't see it. But yeah, I liked it. What would you give it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a score. Does it make the best of the week, Jim? That's what I'm trying to think. I'm very close. I'm
It's
very
getting
close to an 8.
I think that
7.5.
this, yeah,
No, I'm going to go 7.5.
I think I'm 7.5 as well because of
Yeah, a
the
little bit confused,
confusion.
but
But
it's still good action, great art, really good art in this by Sandoval and is it Ossio as well, two
Yep.
artists.
And I think
Yeah.
that it's one of those. If you did come to me and say, "Hey, I was reading Superman. Is it? Oh, what do you think? Is it cool to pay?" I think that this issue is like, yeah, I think it's getting bigger and bigger. So I think that it has that play where it feels like really cool with the DLC. I'm a 7.5 as well. It's not
7.5
quite,
as well, yeah.
not quite book of the week material. But then
I think
again,
I enjoyed it more
compared
the
to
first
some
read,
things-
even though it lost me at the end with that, who was being shot, that little bit there. But talking about it with you and going through it a second time, it's maybe dropped down 0.5. So yeah, 7.5.
And I
was an 8.
I hope that people are checking it out. I hope that people
Yeah,
are just
definitely check it
listening
out.
to
But
just-
Jim, I'm Absolute Batman and then Wonder
Yeah,
Woman.
yeah.
Still,
Me and you
'cause
have
I've
that
got the old
little
Batman connection. I'm
different
a bit biased, but they're both so good. And then this is number 3, definitely
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. I think it's still pretty darn good. So yeah,
I think it's good. It's not woke. That's nonsense. It's all those people
Yeah, it's
saying
just
that.
what
It's
it
not
is.
at all.
it's just. I mean, Joseph said it. It's just a Superman that you want to have him be more hopeful. And it would have been cool if it was this book where you did, and eventually you would hope it would be the idea of this really dark world that becomes lighter through Superman, but at this point it's making him darker. So
Yeah.
that's a crazy play. But again,
It's a
not
good comment here from Edward on that same point. He's saying the whole point of this universe was it's a hard life.
Yeah.
It's a hard life.
It's a hard
Good
knock
can
life
exist,
for
but it's not a
us.
given.
Yeah.
So you got to fight for it, Jim. You got to fight to
you
find
do have
the
to fight
goodness.
for it, and there's the
point. Good
people.
point.
It's almost what it feels like is if you combine this and the ultimate universe has the idea of the maker change things. then
Yeah.
he goes away and he's coming back. But you never really get like, okay, what does the regular people in the world feel? And is it a darker universe or it's just control? This one, it just feels real dark. Like you just end up like,
does.
man,
Yeah.
shit's bad here. You don't want to live here. Don't even want to visit. But yeah, that's how it plays out. And then you would hope that as you go forward, the characters of the Justice League that kind of is being formed in these separate books, if they're going to be the light that inspires the thing when they're
Can
going to have to
Superman in
find.
this universe bring the light? Can he bring the goodness, or is he going to get corrupted by the father box?
Yeah,
Who
and I
knows?
think that's the cool play, and that's the thing that I think Saul is, warning him of, that he
Yeah.
sees this Cal who's like on the verge of maybe kind of going over the line. He doesn't want him to do that, but the father box may actually be able to corrupt him to do that because it is, a thing. Darkseid, you see fire pits. It was talking to him. I think that Saul got a little jealous. It's like, that's my Superman, not yours. What are you doing? Again,
He's
though,
my Superman.
and the cool play would be like if a cyborg ends up coming. If we had a absolute cyborg that would have mother box technology and things like that, that would be a cool play as well and stuff. So that's a book we were talking. A lot of people were talking about what books they would want, and nobody actually said to me that they would want an absolute cyborg. I think I want that now. I want to see that. Maybe get an actual good cyber book for once. But with all that, thanks everybody as always for coming and watching and going through it. Obviously, when we go, you can get involved in the show because we will go into the chat and you could just discuss things and we'll thread it in.
Yeah,
So if
it's
you
great
want
to
do
get
that,
your points too.
yeah,
Some
I
really
like
good
that.
points in the
yeah,
chat.
yeah, it's great. I mean, when you go and do the podcast, me and you say a lot of times like, "Hey, I like it more when I talk to you about it," or you brought that up. But when you have a bunch of other people too, it just gives you more of that. And I do like that. So you can all join us on Friday nights at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we go through it. And just at the end, Riley said Absolute is a Scott Snyder thing. Sooner or later, someone is going to find a magic doorknob. I hope they don't fall into it. It's like, oh, he fell
made me
into
laugh.
the magic
That's
doorknob. And you say that, I believe the magic doorknob has already been found by Mirror Master, so that's already kind of a thing. So we'll see. And then Jack Halsey showed and says, thanks for making my drive home so entertaining with this super chat. Thank you very much, Jack.
Shout out to Jack. How you doing, man?
Yeah,
Have
and
a safe
Edward has,
drive.
and maybe we rarely have a week where we don't have books, but maybe we could have. And I like talking with everybody in the chat, especially so we could have a thing where we do talk about what is everybody's order of the books
what's
and
your
why.
ranking?
And maybe
Yeah.
even like go even further of like what's our favorite moment is always going to be kicking babies. So why even bother with that? But maybe go through like, well, who's our favorite artist in all of them? Who's our favorite? It'd
Sassy
be kind of
Saul.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm telling you, my favorite artist, I don't even know the name. It's that fill-in artist for Wonder Woman. At that point was so good. Righteous Lot asked, have you seen the Superman movie yet? I have not. And
Not yet.
you said you were going to maybe
I
go
want to
this
go this
weekend.
weekend, hopefully.
I
Maybe
know
Sunday for me.
I talked to Brad earlier for the regular show. He is actually probably coming out of the movie about now. He was going
Ooh.
around 6 o'clock. My son Ethan lives in New Jersey. I'm in the Philadelphia area. He keeps saying to me, yeah, Dad, I'm going to come and visit. And we're going to go see it. And we're going to do this. I'm like, yeah, you say that a lot.
You say that, bro.
Yeah. And then when then you realize that, oh, Jim, what was the last movie you saw in the theater? And I tell you it was Man of Steel. You'll realize I don't go to the theater that much. So we'll see. We
Jim,
will see.
come on,
So
man.
yeah,
Do you know what, Jim? We're hearing mixed things about it. And I don't hold much faith in supposed critics in inverted commas, but I always want to make my own mind up about it. But it looks bright, it looks colourful, it looks like a comic book, and that's what I'm up for.
Here's
I'm
the
up for a
play.
proper
What
comic
I've
book
gotten
movie.
from people that I've talked to, and even in the Slack, people were talking about it. What I get is, if you just go into it wanting a fun comic book movie, it seems like you'll enjoy it. If you're looking for a little bit dark stuff, like even the Snyderverse stuff, which is always going to get tied in an argument, whatever, you're going to be disappointed. If you go in wanting to hate it, you'll probably hate it. That's what it's like. Whatever you go in, but I think that I'm going to go in with an open mind, but I actually just want to have a fun comic booky thing. I don't care about any of that fight and things like that and whatnot.
Same.
Yeah, I just want it to be a fun play. I'm not going to come out and go, man, James Gunn did this better than this, or they did this better than that. All I want to do is say Nathan Fillion's freaking bowl cut as Guy Gardner is the most awesome thing I've ever seen. That's right. And just as an aside too, and these are no spoilers because obviously we haven't watched it, but We did have I forget was it Ryan? Was it Fearmont? I forget who it was who saw it, but ended up saying
Yeah,
like
I think Ryan's seen it.
yeah, and definitely said like it was a very fun movie and not like the humor that you might expect if you're going in thinking of the Marvel humor. And I thought that was actually the one comment that I saw that I was like, I'm glad of that, because if it ends up just like, oh, it's just a Marvel movie at DC, that wouldn't have played out very well. So, and also just to say, I haven't had anybody say, yeah, I think Tom King ruined all this. Well, yeah, got the Tom King there. But yeah, I do want to see it. Joseph Wolf is going to see it tomorrow. I do keep seeing Thing, and yeah, he's awesome. I love Guy Gardner.
He's the guy.
I do end up where I do see like people like, oh, this is still like yesterday. This is going to bomb. I'm like, I don't know. Everybody's talking about it. It doesn't seem like it's going to bomb. So that's good too. Because again, if you want to have other movies, you want this one to do good. So there you go.
Yeah.
It might have been Jared who said like, basically, if this bombs, you're just going to get Batman. You're going to get tons of Batman movies and nothing else. So if this does good, you get a bunch of things.
Even though that was kind of supposedly disappointing, it did take quite a lot of money. It did probably the best out of the recent DC universe movies.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see that one. So there you go.
It was good. First half of the movie was really good. Then it kind of like went on too long.
Yeah,
they crammed too much in at the end.
I'm not a big movie guy. So I think people know that. Riley said, I heard all the men cry, so Tom King's touch is there. There you go.
Tom King.
Here's the deal. It's like, well, I heard that a couple little kids die and a bunch of guys cry. So, yep, Tom King is all over this thing. That'd be great. And also, like, an obscure character shows up, he completely gets it wrong, turns him into a genocidal maniac, and then there you go. Yes. But, yeah. So, and Fearmark said he wants the Swamp Thing movie. There you go. Comic Book Muscle says, I don't want no more bad movies. Yeah, I don't either. But again, I don't really watch movies or TV. I do podcasts. That's all I really end up doing. So with that, thanks everybody. We're going to get out of here, and then me and Gray are going to go possibly do the intro and outro to the regular podcast. And we'll be done. I'll be done the podcast early, and I'll be able to get that out there. So thanks everybody. And we will talk to you all later.
感動して感謝しました。本当に大好きです。私は普通の男ではありません。私はもう本性の愛です。私にからかわないでください。そうしないとあなたは消えてしまいます。私は普通の男です。でも私はあなたを殺します。だからそのまま受け取って